Imagine you go to a concert. You pay $10 to get a concert ticket, and each ticket is supposed to be unique, represented by a string of numbers. Show up to the concert, and the machine says, "Sorry, this ticket has already been used." Turns out, the same exact ticket that was supposed to be unique was sold to 3 different people before you arrived. And the ticket vendors are planning to sell that same ticket at least 7 more times. Is this business practice even legal? This analogy is how several proxy providers were able to essentially perform an infinite money glitch. And this is how hundreds of thousands of sneaker botters got scammed. Before we get into the details, I just want to make clear that I am not asking for sympathy on behalf of sneaker botters. This video is simply to entertain and educate viewers about one of the many shady business practices that went on in the botting scene, which mostly took place between 2020 to the middle of 2022. So let's start from the beginning. What's an IP address? An IP address, also known as Internet Protocol, is a computer network's unique identifier. You can think of it like your driver's license ID number, except for your internet. One of the most common ways to stop bots is by setting a limit on how frequently a single IP is able to access a certain website. For instance, you can get a sneaker bot to look for a shoe on Nike's website every 1 millisecond, which is 0.001 seconds. Obviously, there's no human that will be able to do this, so someone who uses a bot to perform this action will have their IP address banned almost instantly, meaning you won't be able to get access to the website anymore. So if you go into a bar and start punching random people in the face, security will throw you out and your ID number will be logged. Next time you go to that same bar and they see that your ID number is flagged, obviously they won't let you in. This is where proxy providers come in. A proxy provider will sell you a set of IP addresses that you will use in conjunction with your sneaker bot. So instead of actions coming from one IP address, you can use several IP addresses instead. So if you have a 1 task to 1 IP address ratio with 20 tasks, on Nike's end, this will look like 20 different computers going for a single shoe all at the same time rather than just one. So if you go back to the bar that you got kicked out from, this is like using the shadow clone jutsu, and each clone has their own ID numbers, and all of your clones can be in the bar all at the same time. Understood? Perfect. 2020 to 2022 was probably the most expensive time period in botting. It wasn't too uncommon to see botters having operating expenses in the thousands of dollars a month. Not to mention, the bots themselves would be as expensive as $8,000 to $10,000. And some big ballers like AYCD Jake and Tiana Porta had near 6-figure botting setups. The bulk of the operating expenses came from proxy companies. Proxies are an essential part of botting for reasons that I outlined earlier, and demand was through the roof. Proxy companies would almost always sell out. In fact, being able to buy proxies would sometimes be just as difficult as trying to get the shoes that you're going to use the proxies for. Now, some nefarious proxy companies decided to simply sell the same list of IPs multiple times. This effectively multiplied their revenue. For example, if you had 3,000 monthly proxies in stock and you sold them for $1.80 each, you would make $5,400 in sales. But if you sold that same list 15 times instead of just 1 time, then you effectively 15x that sale number to $81,000 a month. Despite increasing your stock, you still sell out every month. Now that type of money is not easy to turn down. But the whole purpose of the proxy is that it's supposed to be unique, so that from the website's perspective, you aren't actually botting. But giving out the same list multiple times will significantly increase the chances of your proxies getting banned before you even use it. With us, we have Ock and SoulSnipes, who were owners of Surge Proxies. Surge started in 2017, making them one of the first proxy companies that was created specifically to be marketed towards sneaker botters. However, in November of 2022, they officially left the proxy business, but this makes them the perfect candidates for this type of discussion since number 1, they're extremely experienced in this field, and number 2, there's no incentive for them to bash other proxy companies since they are no longer in the business. In other words, we get their full unbiased expert opinion. Around 2020 is when a lot of this stuff started to surface, that other proxy providers were reselling the same exact sets of IP address. Now, did you guys have like a moment where you realized, oh shoot, proxy providers are actually doing this?
This wasn't nothing new in 2020. When you used to get your proxy list delivered via a TXT file, people were basically redistributing the list. This saying it was new and it started occurring in 2020. No, it had been going on from day one, from what I could see.
To play devil's advocate for a second, let's say I make a proxy company and I resell IPs, but the people that are using my proxies, they're still cooking with it. Do you think it's still unethical in that situation?
Yeah, definitely. It's never okay. I don't even think it's okay when you disclose it. The bottom line is your proxy might be good when you deliver it to two different users, but once they start targeting the same site at the same time over and over and over again, the proxy is going to get banned. You're doing a disservice to both customers and to your brand.
Seeing your competitors making tons of money, surely you've seen some of that and you're thinking, wow, like I could get rich right now if I really wanted to. And it was well within your power, considering Search Proxies is a very reputable company and you could have easily taken advantage of that and you could have easily ran off with tons of money. Has that ever crossed your mind?
No, it was never even a question we asked ourselves. When we got into the business, we wanted to provide a good service at the best cost possible while being transparent. And I think that's really why we got as big as we were.
When proxy providers do this, when they sell the same IPs to multiple people, is it like just straight greed? Do you think they know what they're doing, or they're just being negligent and naive about the implications of what that might do?
Well, I think they 100% know exactly what they're doing, and they're just going for like a money grab. You know, it's easy money for them when they could sell the same list to 20 other people, and there's a huge chance that the customers would never know that they bought the same list. It's really hard for them to like gather and figure out that they all got the same proxies. So I would say it's like very easy for them to do it, and it's like you said earlier, it's easy money. It's like an infinite money glitch when they sell the same service over and over.
I will say this, you know, it more so that is the most common root causes. They're just being deceptive flat out. But could have been a potential where a list potentially got duplicated because the whole system was automated. If you're not auditing your system to make sure you don't have any bugs in the code, so on and so forth, you could have proxy lists can be distributed multiple times.
So how did they get away with this for such a long time? In theory, the side effect of conducting these nefarious business practices should include loss of customers due to subpar performance. But this was rarely the case, at least in the short term, because as I mentioned, proxy companies would sell out all the time. So if you're a botter and you need some ISP proxies, then sometimes you don't really have a choice but to just buy whatever's in stock. Not only that, but oftentimes it's difficult to pinpoint exactly what goes wrong during an unsuccessful botting run. So most proxy companies will deflect the blame to a multitude of other factors for your bad performance. For example, they can say, it's not your proxies, it was the website that was dying, it was your bot, it was your setup, it was your Gmail, it's something that isn't the proxies. And oftentimes they would also say, many other people using our proxies were successful, so surely it was user error. To be fair, if you don't know any better, that's a difficult point to argue against. As a side note, I'm not saying that every time a botter takes an L, it's automatically the proxies. Learning exactly what goes wrong in particular is a skill that can take months to learn, which makes it easy for companies, not just proxy companies in the botting scene, to point fingers at each other. Reselling identical IP addresses are definitely among one of the greediest acts of proxy companies. But now we're going to move on to some deceptive marketing practices. Browsing through proxy companies, it would be very common for anyone to encounter buzzwords that may sound good, but may not really mean anything. But in some cases, they could be outright deceptive.
When you see terms unbannable, that's a lie. There's no such thing as an unbannable IP address. Or even 10 gig port or 100 gig port, that's deceptive. That has barely any impact on the IP's performance. Those key terms are very deceptive.
Okay, because I have seen those terms before and I think to myself, yeah, 10 gig port sounds like it would give me a really stable connection. So you're telling me now that's not the case. What does that actually mean if you're buying a 10 gig port proxy?
That's the port of their circuit. That's how many gigs they could send per second. So it's not like you'll ever send 10 gigs per second. And even when you have a server, you know, depending upon your server size, there's only so many IPs that server can handle before it crashes. Even with I think at one point in time, we were putting close to 4,000 IPs on a server. for ISP. And even then, you're nowhere near even 10 gigs of data per second.
Oh, okay. So it almost like doesn't even matter. It's just a marketing thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a marketing thing. We're not sending huge files across the internet or anything like that.
So staying on this topic, sometimes I would see proxy companies say something along the lines of a proxy is optimized or a proxy is curated for a specific website. What does that mean? How do you curate a proxy?
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I think the only thing they can do is just make the location of the proxy as close as possible to the server that hosts that specific website to just increase speeds. But other than that, I think that's about it.
I guess if I start a proxy company, I can say, oh, optimized for this website. It could literally mean anything. Oh, it's just closer to the website servers.
It means nothing. I'm going to tell you how we source these IPs. We have IP brokers that basically buy, sell, lease subnet blocks for people all day long. And they'll reach out to us and they'll tell us, hey, we got this new block in. And we'll say, let us take a look at it. And pretty much we've been around long enough to where we could tell on the block itself if we ran across that IP before in the sneaker scene. So when they contact us or we reach out to them because we have a demand, they'll come back with us with an IP and then we'll say, okay, in some cases, depending upon your relationship with that broker at the time, they'll let you test and they'll throw it out there on their server. And that's when you do your test. That's it. There's nothing they're doing anything special. They don't even own the IP address. They're leasing the IP address. That's how every IP provider, sneaker botting proxy provider, pretty much sources their IPs for ISP service. It's not like you're putting them in an incubator and or whatever you want to call it and making them fancy for whatever site. No, you get the subnet block, you test it on each site and you say, hey, it's working.
In a highly competitive environment, however, all of this almost seems inevitable. After all, if a customer looks at two different proxy services, one says optimized, the other one doesn't. One says premium, the other one doesn't. One says 10 gigabyte port, the other one doesn't. It's almost common sense to go with a company that chooses to use buzzwords. Even though these two products might be identical, ultimately the company that doesn't deploy some of these marketing strategies may get punished and lose market share. So even the ethical proxy companies who just want to provide a good service might not have a choice but to do this, just so that they can be on a level playing field with the rest of the proxy market. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. A proxy company that uses these buzzwords do not automatically mean they are trying to be maliciously deceptive. I just want botters to understand that these words most likely won't have any effect on performance. I'm also not against proxy companies making money, but what I am against is how some proxy companies will fill their product page with as many buzzwords as possible and then use that as grounds to overcharge their customers, because companies know that to the untrained eye, more buzzwords and the higher price may be perceived as higher quality, when in reality, it might not be anything special. How would either of you guys personally go about buying proxies, knowing what you know?
If I didn't know how to set up my own private subnet, then I would purchase it off of one of the companies that either I know the owners of it or somebody would recommend me to them, a reputable company, and that's what I would go with, a private subnet where I'm the only person using that subnet, so that, you know, whatever happens to it will be my responsibility, and I could sleep at night knowing that I'm the only one using these IP addresses. I think that's the best way to go at it nowadays.
So this will be my advice. Get in the game and base your opinion on a company on your personal experience, not what you see in these cook groups, not what you see on Twitter or anywhere else. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Source your IPs from several different proxy providers. Every proxy provider has a bad day. You could be the best proxy provider in the game. You are going to have a bad day. So no one proxy provider should earn 100% of your business. Diversify it. And that's the only thing you can do. And when you find the right product mix that works, stick with it. Don't change it just because, oh, I haven't been hitting recently. That doesn't mean their IPs are bad. You've got to remember there's still some luck to this, and stick it out. Now, I will say if you go on a huge dry spell of, 60 days of not hitting, then yeah, maybe you need to reconsider your setup. But other than that, that's the best way to tackle sneaker botting.
There you have it. To recap, go with recommendations from people or friends that you can trust in the sneaker scene. Although it's expensive, maybe you can go with a private subnet, and then diversify your proxy selection. From there, you are the judge on whether or not a proxy company deserves to keep you as a customer, and it would be based on your personal experience with their services. Hope you guys learned something new, and I hope you enjoyed this video. The next video will be about the fascinating economics of the secondary bot market and how backdooring license keys played a role in it. See you then.